Fellas, if this was a manga, we'd be entering our school festival arc, cause the Trinity Festival has arrived to Blue Archive Global in the form of the new event, Serenade Promenade, and with it comes the new limited 3-star units, Idol Mari and Idol Sakurako, as well as Idol Mine, who is the event's welfare unit. In this video, we will be taking a look at Idol Mari, whereas Idol Sakurako and Idol Mine will be reviewed in a separate video, which should hopefully be uploaded about a day or so later. I'll leave the link to it in the pinned comment once it's up. Anyways, without further ado, here is a short review of Idol Mari. Listen, unlike a lot of senseis out there who are feral and fanatics for our cute orange fox nun, I'm just more or less neutral towards her. That being said, I really like her idol design. She looks extremely alluring and sexy in her new outfit despite being a nun. She's never beating the perverted student allegations, is she? As her pits are very much exposed, and I know a bunch of you who would kill to stick your face in there and get a good old whiff, especially once she's done with dance practice. Not only that, her new black dress and those black tights make her look even more elegant, fitting for a Trinity nun. Plus that small black top hat she's wearing really amplifies her adorableness, and it's such a nice addition since it gives off major steampunk vibes. Finally, we're getting another sweaty Mari L2D, though this time, she's sweating way more cause she just finished her performance. I know tons of you would love to store that holy water in a bottle and gulp it down. All in all, while I might not be Mari's biggest fan, I do really like her new idol outfit. I think she looks even cuter and angelic, plus I'm just glad that my Mari bros get another O. Though do remember to confess your sins before and after doing unspeakable acts to her, okay? So, what kind of student is she? Idol Mari is a limited explosive striker healer who wears heavy armor, and her terrain moves are as follows: D combat power in urban terrains, S combat power in field, and B combat power indoors. The equipment she uses are shoes, pin and necklace, with this set focusing on improving her healing capabilities and providing her with a bit more survivability. Time for Idol Mari's skills. Firstly, with her 2-cost EX, she is able to recover one ally's HP, excluding herself, though she also heals her own self at the same time. Her EX also converts 100% of excess health recovery into additional HP, up to a max of 50% of said ally's max HP, with this extra health decaying over time by 5% of the overall amount of restored HP, including the excess every 1 second. I'll explain it in detail in a bit. Plus, she also gains one fan service stack. Her basic skill heals the unit with the lowest HP, excluding herself every 30 seconds. Her enhanced skill boosts her healing, and her sub-skill increases her max HP while reducing the cost of all allies' next EX skill use by 1 whenever she accumulates 3 fan service stacks, consuming them. At UA 40, her enhanced skill plus further ups her healing, and at UA 50, her field combat power improves from S to SS. So how good is Idol Mari? Well, as you can tell, she is primarily a powerful single target striker healer, mainly due to her potent EX skill. Firstly, she is able to recover one unit's HP by a substantial amount with its 265% multiplier at level 5 EX. And this heal is actually pretty strong, allowing you to save your dying unit from the brink of death easily. Plus, it becomes even more potent if she's at UA 40 and has tier 9 necklace. Not only that, while she herself cannot receive this heal, she does simultaneously restore some of her own health, albeit her self-heals values are a bit lower with a 121% multiplier. However, her EX's main appeal lies in its extremely powerful overheal ability, with Idol Mari being the first and only student in the game so far who has this unique skill, and it essentially works like this. Whenever she heals a unit with her EX, if there's any excess healing, 100% of it gets converted into additional HP, which is basically overheal HP as indicated by this sort of light greenish extended health bar, and the overheal HP amount can go up to a max of 50% of the target's max HP, plus this overheal decreases by 5% of the total amount of health recovered, including the overheal, every 1 second. So for example, let's say the student received overall 10,000 healing from Mari's EX. The extra HP is reduced by 500 HP per second, because remember, 5% of the total amount of health recovered. And if the total overheal HP not healing is, let's assume, 5,000, then it fully decays within 10 seconds. I hope all that makes sense. Thus, this special ability is very useful and strong, cause not only does it solve the problem of any excess healing going to waste, but it also greatly boosts the healed unit's survivability by providing them with extra health. Plus, coupled with her EX's very potent heal, means your student has a better chance of surviving hard-hitting attacks, especially if you time her EX right, while saving them from the brink of death. And note that she can do all this at a low cost of 2, though do remember that this overheal decays over time, so you need to be wary about when it disappears. Other than that, after using her EX, Idomari gains a fan service stack, which is vital for her sub-skill. More on that in a bit. Moving on, her basic skill also adds to her healing capabilities, as she heals the ally with the lowest HP every 30 seconds, with this skill having a decent healing multiplier of 136% at max level, making her a more effective healer as she has an extra healing outlet, though this skill sadly does not have the overheal ability. Next, both her enhanced and especially her enhanced skill plus increase her healing, with the latter being more important since it massively boosts the potency of her heals, as well as increase the amount of overheal she can provide. So while 3-star 2 UE30 Idomari is still good enough, there are certain harder content where UE40 Idomari is needed, since the additional healing will be very useful in keeping your team alive, though UE50 is definitely not required. Finally, her sub-skill also has a bit of utility, as it permanently increases her max HP by 25.5% at level 10 skill, further improving her survivability, though most importantly, it can cut the EX cost of all allies by 1 each time she gains 3 fan service stacks, which, as you may remember, is accumulated every time she uses her EX, meaning you need to use her EX twice in order for it to proc. Not to mention, since her EX's cost is very low, you can trigger this cost reduction more frequently, though keep in mind that this skill is more useful in longer difficult battles, as you'll be using her EX more often. Now, there's one last thing I'd like to very briefly cover. How does Idomari compare to Kokona, her counterpart? Well, both their kits are very similar, hence the many comparisons between them, but they are quite different from each other. For one, they have different armor types. Idomari wears yellow armor, while Kokona uses blue, so you would ideally use Mari against enemies with Mystic or Sonic attack, since she takes 0.5 times damage, whereas Kokona is best utilized against raid enemies. Not only that, at base level aka 3-star, Kokona's EX's healing is slightly stronger, mainly due to its marginally higher multiplier, though Mari's self-heal is somewhat stronger for the same reason. However, at UE40, Idomari's recovery values become much more powerful compared to Kokona's due to the additional healing, whereas Kokona receives extra evasion on her enhanced skill plus. Not to mention, the former's EX has the overheal ability, giving her an even slighter edge as she can greatly improve your unit's survivability. On the other hand, while both their basics heal the ally with the lowest HP, with Mari's being a bit more potent, hers procs on a fixed timer, while Kokona's activates for every 100 crit hits landed by allies, and the latter can be triggered faster / more often, particularly if you're rocking a team with fast attacking units. Finally, despite both their sub-skills being able to cut the cost of your other student's EX by 1, Mari needs only 3 fan service stacks, and she also has a permanent HP buff, whilst Kokona heals herself a little on activation, but she needs 5 stamp stacks. That being said, Mari can only obtain her stacks through her EX. Meanwhile, Kokona gets hers through both her EX and basic, thus you can technically manually control Idomari's sub-skill, ensuring it activates at the right time, like during the boss's groggy phase. But Kokona's sub can proc more frequently since she has more ways of getting her stacks. Hence, as you can see, both their kits are pretty similar. Nevertheless, it doesn't mean that one is better than the other, and who you use highly depends on the situation, especially due to their differing armor types. Plus, you can even use them in separate teams if you need to. All in all though, Idomari is a really strong single target healer who has the unique overheal ability on her EX, high recovery values, and utility in the form of cost reduction. Moving on, what about her users? Well, while she initially didn't see a lot of use when she first came out, Idomari has grown to be widely used in a bunch of content. For instance, joint firing drills with the scarecrows that you need to heal, or avant-garde, and certain raids. For example, Gregorius. she has been brought into quite a lot of players' teams for this raid, especially on Insane and Torment, since she can greatly ensure your student's survivability against this hard-hitting boss with her overheal, which is particularly handy for the likes of Dress Hina, whose durability is a problem in this raid. Plus she can resist Greg's mystic attacks with her yellow armor, making her a significant unit in a ton of Sensei's teams during Greg's previous return in JP. Aside from Greg, while she can technically be used in Hieronymus, where her role would be to keep your students alive, but more importantly to fully heal the green urn, which she can at UE40 with both her EX and basic skills at the same time, even when it has the recovery down debuff, Kokona is still very much preferred for this raid, cause she takes less damage from Hyro's raid attacks. And also, apparently, using Mari and Dress Akko, who is needed for her basics defense down debuff, in the same team, messes up the former's placement due to their overlapping attack range. So, Kokona is the more suitable choice. But I'm actually not too sure about this, it's just what I heard from some JP players, so please do correct me if I'm mistaken. Also, during Hyro's last appearance, Rio, who can also apply a defense debuff through her basic, wasn't in the game yet. Thus, when Hyro rolls back around, it'd be interesting to see if we can use her in lieu of Dress Akko for the defense shred, so that we can bring in Idol Mari. Other than that, she has also proven to be useful in Kurokage, since her heals are important in removing the compulsion effect from your students, preventing them from getting confused and restoring their max HP. Plus, she once again receives less damage from Kurokage's mystic attacks, allowing her to become an important unit for this raid, as shown during the Kurokage raid in JP a month ago, where she was utilized in many Sensei's Insane to Lunatic teams. However, Idol Mari's main use actually lies in the newest Gebura raid, which will come to global during the 4th anniversary. In this raid, powerful healers are required in order to restore the reactor's output, which periodically decreases, and you need to ensure it ideally stays above 70%, as the reactor will heal your allies every 6 seconds while granting them a damage resisting buff at this threshold. Plus, you can only heal it with EX skills. Not to mention, you'd also want the reactor's output to consistently hit 100%, cause it increases all allies' cost recovery, attack by 30%, and crit damage by 60%. Hence, these have made Mari an excellent and meta unit for this raid, since her overheal and very high healing values can help to recover the reactor's gauge, and her UE40 is especially needed on Torment and Lunatic to fully fill it. Plus, she also takes less damage from Gebura's blue attacks, making her a more viable option than Kokona for this raid. Lastly, she has also been used a whole lot in Chokma, where her role is pretty simple. Keep your team alive with her heals and overheal, like saving Shiroko Terra from retreating by fully healing her during her grace period, while receiving 0.5 times damage from his mystic attack, as well as cutting the cost of your other student's EX, which will be very useful whenever he gets hit by the ballistas, as you can activate your DPS unit's EX quicker, dealing more damage to him while Chokma is in his groggy state. So overall, should you pull for Idol Mari? Well, in my opinion, I would recommend pulling for her cause she is a really good potent striker single target healer who will help you in a bunch of content in the future, especially Gebura. Not to mention, keep in mind she is limited, and currently she hasn't had a rerun in JP yet, so it'd be a while before her banner returns. Though, should you prioritize Idol Mari or Idol Sakurako? Well, while it is unfair to really compare them since they are different units altogether, I personally feel that in terms of quote-unquote meta, you should go for Idol Mari, since being a healer means she is flexible and can be brought into more content in teams. Plus, so far, she is utilized in more content than Sakurako, who is only currently usable in niche teams that rely on special students and the Gebura raid. However, if you're pulling based on your waifu preferences, then ignore everything I just said and go for whoever you want. On the other hand, you may also skip Idol Mari if again you prefer to pull for Sakurako, or if you don't have enough Pyroxenes, or if you're content with just using Kokona. But remember that Kokona and Idol Mari don't exactly replace each other, and they are both useful in different situations and content due to their differing armor type. Just be warned though, if you do skip her, God may forgive you, but Mari sure as hell won't, so be prepared to run if you hear the sounds of a motorcycle, cause you're about to Glock and my Rari your ass. And that's all for this review. Again, keep in mind that the Idol Sakurako and Idol Mine review will be uploaded in a separate video. I'll leave the link to it in the pinned comment once it's up. Anyways, let me know who you're pulling for if you are. Good luck with your pulls and see you tomorrow.